This is the Truth Network.
Welcome, fellow adventurers, to the Masculine Journey Joyride Podcast. This is a brand new show from the guys you know. I'm talking, of course, about the Band of Brothers. My name is Keith, and I'm the producer for Masculine Journey and Masculine Journey After Hours. In this podcast, you will hear funny stories, exchanges, and thought-provoking moments that will amuse you, make you smile, and draw you closer to Jesus Christ in your journey of life. Hey Joyriders, new week, new Joyride, and this week the guys are talking about not looking back. Now stop me if you've heard this one. A man takes his seat at the Super Bowl and he looks over and notices there's an empty seat between him and the next guy. The man says, now who would ever miss the Super Bowl? The guy replies, well, that was my wife's seat. We have been to the last 5 Super Bowls together, but sadly she passed away. The man says back, well, that's just terrible. But couldn't you find another close family member to come with you? The guy says no, they're all at the funeral. Well, yes, that joke can be considered in bad taste, but it does illustrate a point. The man in the joke made 2 choices. First choice was to not look back, but to move forward, and to continue the tradition he started with his wife. The second choice was never to be able to show his face amongst his family and friends ever again. Now, let us not look back at that terrible joke, but let's look towards the future with a funny clip from the guys.
There are times that we step out into a place where we know God is calling us to step out, and it doesn't necessarily end the way we think it should end. And so the enemy wants to come in the midst of that and say, you should have never done this, you should have never went there. We may have rushed out ahead of God, we may have had some things we needed to learn from it, but that doesn't mean that we were wrong in stepping out. And I think that's part of this moving past the past, is realizing that sometimes God called you into some of this stuff and that you just needed to trust that, okay, maybe I got misguided a little bit or I got things off a little, but it doesn't mean my heart was in the wrong place. I just need to follow him more clearly or more fully.
That's exactly my story, is the fact that there was so many times when I felt like I was stepping up and doing something for God. And you were inspired that way. But again, this goes back to, do you have your heart back? Are you being led by him? Are you following him? Or are you out in ahead of him? Come on, Jesus. Come on, let's go. And I think that's a big part of it. And that's the things that you remember, those things, and you're not that eager to jump back out. And it's taken me a long time. It took me a long time to get to the position to where I would really follow him into those battles and stuff that I normally would have just kind of given up to, because I don't like repeating failure, you know?
No, and the enemy's there the whole time just beating you up over it.
Right.
Right, and to the point where it makes it hard to hear God.
The interesting thing, Robbie was talking about electricity a while ago, and we're talking about facing things in resistance. Well, resistance is what brings light. When electricity passes through a filament of a light bulb, the resistance it is what makes it glow, what gives you light. And there's another analogy, I think, for the things that we've dodged for years is what we're talking about, going back into the wounds. And, like the Lion King, going back, he knew he was going to face resistance, but yet it did shed light on what was going on. So
yeah, and that's where the light shines, is entering into that.
Yeah, so you're going to meet resistance when you're pressing toward that high calling, Andy. You're going to meet resistance, but it will shed light on things, I think.
And I thought I saw your light bulb come on there, Danny.
Yeah.
It was bright.
Yeah, it was reflection.
I shaved my head this morning. That's why.
Oh, okay.
You're working the Uncle Fester right now pretty well.
I like that reference.
That's why I wear a ball cap.
So from the guys of Masculine Journey, I'm Keith, and we'll see you down the road.
This is the Truth Network.